My thinking changed when I was in about the second time, maybe the third time, third parole violation. I realized, hey, this is a career. This is not going to stop.
I'm going to have to ask myself, is it worth it? And it's not worth all the time that I've missed with my kids, my wife. And this has been, right now, the hardest time I've ever did out of, what, about 14, 16 years that I got in. This is the hardest time I've ever did because of the things that I'm aware of that I've lost that I can't get back.
Every one of us has the same needs: home, family, loved ones. Why do some of us leave these behind to sleep in a prison cell?
It's a hard process because all my life I've thought, you know, I can do just a little bit more dope. I can do just a little bit more crazy shit. I can rip this one more guy off and nobody's gonna notice. But here I am. You know, I'm doing a 9-year sentence right now.
Why do people come back again and again? What happens in the mind that brings a person back here?
When I was in the first time, I felt like, oh, this is pretty fucked up. I ain't gonna do this no more. But it didn't go like that. When you get out, that becomes your identity. It can become as you think of yourself.
Time after time, people return. What makes a person cause himself pain? These men and women are looking for answers by looking within themselves. They're becoming aware that the actions they take begin with the thoughts in their minds.
And that for me was going back on the streets and using drugs again, and it brought me back again.
In a series of meetings with Dr. Stanton Samanow, they're taking a step toward change. They're about to explore two major errors, two ways of thinking that create painful results. They began by talking with Dr. Samanow one-on-one while a video camera recorded them. Then, in the group, they looked at themselves on screen as a way to learn about their own thinking.
All right, what we'll do now is we will watch the next interview, and again, the purpose is not to put the individual on the hot spot, but to use this as a mirror for the person to look at his thinking. Let's see if there are any mistakes in the thinking. Why didn't you learn? What was there about that life that kept you in that life?
The money, the fantasies, the gold, the cars.
What were the fantasies?
The cars, the women.
What's the longest you've held a job?
30, 40 days. I ain't never had a job over a year. To be 40 years old, and you know, I'm sad to say that, but working, I just didn't like working. I don't like getting up in the morning at 6 o'clock and you going on a $3, $4 hour job. My mother gets up from 6 in the morning and don't get home till 6 in the evening. For what? For a lousy $200 or $300 a week. I said, I'm not going that route. I rather take a chance at getting 5,000 within 4 or 5 hours, and I call it a day.
Let's let the person who said what he did in that taped excerpt have the first crack at commenting on what he said.
It means to me where, you know, I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. My mom and dad had to work all their lives, and I didn't have a bicycle or try to get some of the finest things that my neighbor had. You understand what I'm saying? I had to get out there and get mine. Either one way. Either I'm gonna take it or sell dope.
Comments on that?
You know, he wants to show everybody that he's got the flash, he's got the money, instead of going out and just trying to get a job.
You can respond to that quickly.
but you feel to realize that it's harder for a black person to walk on a job with no education to get a job. You understand what I'm saying? If you walk in there with me right now, both of us going to a place for a job, you'll get hired first because of the color of your skin, brother. I guarantee you. They look at my record and my education and say, well, no, let's try him. So, hey, I'm not going to be denied because you white, home. I'm going to get mine regardless. If I got to take it from you, when you get your check, I'm going to meet you out there in the door and take it from you in order to satisfy my needs.
All right. Is there what any of you would consider an error to the way of thinking that this gentleman described?
He doesn't want to earn it. Everything I hear him saying about lack of opportunity and he's such a victim, he's not wanting to earn it. His error in thinking is that he needs to earn what he wants rather than take what he wants.
If I didn't think like that, I wouldn't have it. I'll have to come and ask you, would you give it to me? Hell no, you wouldn't. So, hey, I'm gonna get mine one way or the other. If I go get a job and get turned down and I want these new motherfucking wheels on my car and I come to you, hey man, loan me $5,000, would you give it to me? Just answer that question. Hell no, you wouldn't.
Might give you a job.
Yeah, I don't like to work. That's over with. You can stop that right there. I don't like to work.
Well, this is the point. Let me take your comment about it, the gentleman back here.
I believe that's his thinking error. You have to, as the other gentleman said, you have to earn, you have to work. In society, you have to work for what you have. You can't just use other people and take what they've earned, because most of the time who you're taking it from, they worked hard for it. You can't just use people to get what you want in society. You have to work for it, however it may be. There's different styles of work, and granted, an uneducated person, be it black or white, is going to have a harder time getting a job, but what you do is go get an education and then go for what you want. So I think that's where the thinking area is, taking from somebody and saying, I don't like to work, so I can do it my way.
I feel what he's saying is he wants it fast and he wants it in one big bundle. And if he can't get it that way, he's willing to take anybody out that gets in his way to get this, whatever it may be, instead of calming down and really actually thinking about something, because we know he has a brain and know the consequences, what they are, if he gets caught in the act doing this. He needs to just settle down and take it easy and try a job. Even if he don't like it, just try it.
If I leave this penitentiary today and I got to get a job, I'm gonna go to every opportunity I can to get one, and you still hear no. Well, hey man, I got to eat.
If that way of thinking continues, what is going to happen as a result?
I feel he's either going to end up back in prison where he is right now, or he's going to end up dead. That's the road he's taking.
The error in his thinking is one of the end results is he's not only going to hurt himself, but he's going to hurt everybody around him that cares about him, because he's putting everybody that he's putting, like he was saying, you know, if he goes to somebody's house and asks them, are you going to feed my kids? You know, well, hey, you know, if you're in prison, you can't feed your kids, you know. Every time you go out and commit a crime, there's that chance that you're going to come to prison. You're not only hurting yourself, but you're hurting people that should be valuable to you, people that should, you know, come first. But the way that you present everything, it's like you don't care. You're number one and you come first, but you're trying to make yourself perceive that, well, hey, I'm doing this for everybody else. I'm doing this for the kids. I'm trying to feed my kids. I'm trying to feed my old lady. I'm trying to do this. But that's not what you're doing. You're just looking out for number one, and you don't care who you hurt. And I think that's one of the major errors. And that's the end result. You're going to hurt people that really care about you, and then when you do need those people, they ain't going to be there.
As I looked at it, I am lifting out one error in particular, and that is that to live responsibly, a person really has to make an effort. This idea of, I want it all now, or if I can't get what I want now, I'm going to take it. That leads to all kinds of problems. And to live responsibly in this world does require very often going very slowly, starting at the bottom, working your way up, sticking with something over time, doing something you may not even want to do, and not doing some of the things that you do want to do. maybe in a sense you could say it's a sacrifice now for something better down the road. So the error that I am concentrating on in that videotape was what seemed to me to be a lack of effort.
I wanted to be different. I wanted to do something different, but I wanted to make the type of money that they were making. See, they were making theirs legal. I wanted to make mine illegal.
Why?
I didn't want to make it illegal, but I wanted to make it fast, and the only way I could make it fast was to make it illegal.
What is the longest that you've ever held a job?
Actually, the longest I've ever held a job would probably be right around a year. Right around a year, because I would move. I was a free-spirited individual, and I like to just pick up and leave at any time I wanted to, kind of like I guess you would say, a gypsy of some sort, you know?
What is the longest that you have ever held one job?
Was here in prison.
How about outside of prison?
Outside, 6 months.
What's the longest period of time that you were unemployed, not counting being locked up?
Probably between anywhere from 3-4 years at a time.
And if we had a videotape of those 3 to 4 years, a 3 to 4 year period of unemployment, what would we see you doing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week?
Wasting my life.
You dropped out.
Yeah.
Why?
Because it wasn't interesting. It wasn't fun.
All right, you saw your brothers and your sisters doing what they did the gradual way, the step-by-step way, the
Right.
slow way in most cases probably.
Right.
Why did you not want to do it that way? What was it about their way that you didn't like?
Well, a lot of them would come home with headaches. Oh, I have to go do this class tonight. I don't want to go do this class tonight. Greg, you ought to get in school. I said, why would you want me to get in school and you're sitting here just to have a nervous breakdown behind school? It didn't make any sense then, but it pays off now.
What was that little world like?
Being free. Being free from being pressured to do an everyday situation like a job reality, going to work, getting up in the morning, knowing that I didn't have nobody to tell me what to do.
Okay, so in the last 14 years or so,
Yes.
anything that you really struggled toward?
No.
The error really is, in part, it's a focus on the present, what I want now, and where there's kind of a tunnel vision. And you want this, and you don't think about anything else. And you're going to get it now, and you're going to get it your way. Or you look around, and you see what somebody else has, and you say, I want that. Why shouldn't I have that now? And so you don't think about what it takes to be able to get that.
Society really made me this way.
There you are.
You know, I mean, I cannot help it. I mean, I got shot in the chest 7 times. Why? Because I was in the street. I mean, do you think I would trust somebody else after this man that done this to me, after this man that filleted my face with a razor? You think I could trust society? I got to get mine the best way I know how.
And my only response to you is to say that if you continue to try to get it that way, you're going to run certain risks, which you will, it's a choice.
Well, I'm going to give it a change. I'm going to try.
All right.
Least I can do is give it effort. When I get out of here, I'm going to get me a job. And if it works successful for me, I'll stick with it. But if I have a one way in my life and it get cut off, hey man, you never know what I'll do if it come down to feeding mine. So that's all I can really say.
And that is exactly the point. That is what every person has to decide, whether he is willing to take the slow track, live responsibly, or whether he wants the fast track with its risks and its possible consequences and harm to other people. And that's the choice.
So some mornings I wake up and I feel like, you know, this is nothing. It's just a matter of doing this amount of time, and then I get out and I can do what I want to again. Or maybe I convince myself next time I'll be lucky. Next time I won't be all hooked and doing day-to-day crime. Next time I'll do the big job, and then everything will work out real good. My thinking changed when I was in about the second time, maybe the third time, third parole violation. I realized, hey, this is a career. This is not going to stop. When I get out, I don't think of normal stuff no more. To the same behavior, and it's, 20-some years.
So the more I stole, the more I stole, the more people told me I was good, and I knew I was good at what I did. And it was kind of like, yeah, I can do this. Each time I went to jail, I got smaller because I just wanted to crawl under something and go away.
I might give you a job.
Yeah, I don't like to work. That's over with. You can stop that right there. I don't like to work. I was taking everything out of my house. Something that my old lady would work for hard. I didn't have a job.
Like I said before, it's harder for me to sit and think, well, I have to accept an entry-level position in this or that or this other line of work.
That even if you started at the bottom, there's no guarantee of what's going to happen. But let me tell you of a person that I know who was in the federal penitentiary. He got out at the age of 43, and he began work as a busboy in a restaurant, which, is a pretty menial job. Certainly don't make much. Tips, what there are for busboys, aren't great. And he worked his head off. And he went from busboy to bartender to waiter to assistant manager to manager, and then eventually as a partner in another restaurant. And this was starting at the bottom in the most basic of jobs. So I have seen it done. It is possible, but you're quite correct that there's, number one, no guarantee, and number two, you're absolutely right that if you do start at the bottom, you have to endure conditions of life that are a lot less than desirable. But if I work, if I put my all into it, if I stick with it, if I make a commitment to it, the chances are, eventually, I'll get there. That's what I'm talking about by effort. Last night I spoke to a woman inmate at the women's facility. She gave me permission to discuss with you today in this meeting what she had done. She doesn't have the opportunity here to criticize her thinking, although she did a very good job of it last night. So what I want to do is to tell you what she told me and just see what you think. This is a woman who held a legitimate job for 14 years. She prided herself on the fact that she could go into a store, into a mall for that matter, and in virtually no time at all, she could come out of that mall with $2,000 worth of stuff.
I know women that have 16 felonies in a year. I had 2 in 20 years. And all the time, I didn't really realize that I really had serious thinking problems.
Did you think that what was wrong was other people?
Yeah. It had to be other people because, I was intelligent, I had a good job. And then people would tell me how good I could steal. And that was really, I think that kind of made it increase. Because at first, I would just steal and give stuff to my family members. And then when, people would say, oh, you want something? Call Sandra. I used to actually get lists to go steal for people. And then I would go to a bar or somewhere to deliver this stuff, and they would be like, oh, she's good, she's the best. That was the first praise I ever got, was for stealing.
So just as a lawyer might have his specialty and a doctor have his specialty, you were a specialist and a consultant in stealing.
Mm-hmm. I used to say that I was a consumer representative, that provided those with lesser means the better things in life.
She started the stealing when she was, as I remember, somewhere around 15. Of course, this was before she was working. So she said she had been stealing for years and years and years. She had some misdemeanor charges. And she said to her that was like a traffic ticket. Nothing really ever happened. So really there was no consideration at all about any impact that it could have on other people.
I never learned to consider someone else because my mom only considered herself. She never considered me, so I didn't know about considering someone else or nothing else. My mom did what she wanted to do. She traveled. She shipped me off somewhere. She kept my baby sister with her all the time. So I didn't know nothing about why should I feel guilty. I mean, there's nothing to feel guilty about. My mom didn't do nothing for me, and she didn't feel guilty, so now why should I feel guilty about stealing from somebody that I don't even know? It just never crossed, my thought process didn't include any of that. That's just the way I thought. It's like, it was my thinking. My thinking was that this is okay because it feels good. I get praised for doing it. So that made it okay. That's as far as I could think.
And then finally she got a felony charge, and then again a felony charge, and of course she's locked up today. If you were looking at this from the perspective of a person who wanted to change, what is not there in her thinking?
I honestly don't know about what's not there, but I wish I had an old lady that could steal $2,000 worth of stuff.
Would you respect her?
I would respect her skill.
Her skill. All right. Let me take this gentleman's comment.
Shoplifters don't look at it in a sense of stealing from another person, like stealing from you, when in reality it is, because in the end result, you're paying the taxes.
Let me tell you what she said, because I asked her the question, just blunt out. I said, well, who was hurt by this? And she said, and this is just what we've been talking about, she said, well, I never gave that any thought at all.
I never felt guilty because people praised me. I mean, why should I be guilty? These people are paying me for this. They're gonna go to the store and buy it anyway. So if I can go give you a $500 dress and you give me $250 cash, I'm happy, I'm getting praise. People are saying how good I am at this, and you're happy. So I never was guilty about it. I mean, I never even considered the fact that it might hurt my kids later on, you know, or it might cause me to be in prison away from my kids. None of that ever crossed my mind because it wasn't things that I ran into.
So the error really is the failure to consider injury to other people in the broadest sense.
I don't know if this is a justification or not, but I didn't go in to hurt nobody, and I wouldn't hurt nobody. I had that tested. I had people slam a safe shut. An 18-year-old girl, cute as a button, and I got a gun right in her chest, and she's saying, no, I ain't gonna give you the money, and she slams the safe. You have to make a decision. I mean, the stupid drunk that's standing there, he's probably gonna shoot her just because he's mad. I just walked away and laughed.
Did you hurt anybody in that situation?
Oh, no. I just wanted the money.
All right. You didn't physically hurt anybody.
I know I did emotionally. I'm sure I am. I understand the difference. At the time, there's big justification. And now I understand anytime you justify somebody's losing their rights. So that was an awakening. But at the time, I drew a line and I said, I'm not going to hurt nobody.
Well, hurt is hurt, no matter which way, you know, whichever way you look at it, hurt is hurt. If you hurt somebody by physically hurting them, you know, then, you know, you're taking it much deeper. But if you humiliate them, you know, you're hurting a person then too, because you're degrading them. You know, you're making them feel, you're making them feel maybe worthless, you know, maybe useless, you know, because you might have a person that's having a problem with that, with self-worth, you know, and you're humiliating them and stuff like that, and you're just drawing them down further and making them feel even worse about themselves.
He was also robbing her emotionally and hurting her, scarring her, and whatever. Although he didn't realize that at the time, that's what, in fact, I believe happened. And by not realizing that you harmed a person emotionally, I believe that's an error in thinking.
I don't see that. You know, there's in society today, there's more innocent people getting hurt in drive-bys. I mean, seriously and physically getting hurt and something to scar them for life.
Yeah, but you're...
Then for something to not happen, more or less to say just a threat and it not happen and just walk away.
But your idea of hurt is, you know, pumping a bullet into somebody or leaving them in a pool of blood.
I know.
But there are degrees of being hurt, aren't there?
Yes. Now, maybe she was hurt a little bit emotionally.
Okay, let me take the comment of the gentleman behind you.
There's no doubt in my mind the young lady, you know, was scarred for life, okay? I've been in situations, you know, where people have scared me, and I see a program on TV or another guy in a certain situation, and I'll reflect back to that incident in my life. So there's no doubt in my mind a young lady with no experience with criminal activity, and a guy comes in the store to rob her, puts a gun on her, something that's probably never happened in her life. You know, she's got to be emotionally scarred for life.
I would think about the victims, but just briefly, and I would think about them more after I had done my little crime.
But afterwards only, yes?
Well, no, I would think before and after, but before, I'd just say, okay, so what? I choose to do this. This is what I'm going to do, and fuck it if they don't like it. Then later on, after I was high, and my object was to get drugs. So once I get my drugs and I'd be sitting there high, I'd be thinking, wow, that was pretty fucked up, man. They're going to come home tonight and they can't watch TV because I've sold their TV. And they can't do a number of things because I've taken their things. And I'd feel ashamed of myself. But I'm high, so that's what it was all about. It was about me getting high. And I was going to do that. And if any people got, their feathers ruffled along the way, too bad.
As I understand it, you're saying the hell with what happens to the person. True?
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think anybody that has any moral compunctions at all, at the time that they're doing these things, they do set them aside. And they're not going to dwell on it because it's painful to sit there and go, I'm a creep, I steal shit from people.
Who else is hurt by the crime?
His family's hurt, I would think. He's locked up in here. He's got a wife and kids, maybe. If he does or if he doesn't, maybe his parents. People who love him, that aren't with him every day, that don't get to, go places with him, do things with him, hold him, whatever. Those people are hurt.
All right. Anybody else?
He's hurt as a result of it, I think.
Okay. He's hurt. His family is hurt.
When I came to prison, this time I came to prison, my nieces and nephews were like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9 years old. Now they're like young teenagers. A couple of them are going to college now, and they were really hurt by it, confused, didn't understand what was really going on. My daughter at the time, very young girl, didn't know what was going on, why her father wasn't there. And now she's going to college now, and she's still confused why I'm still in prison and when I'm getting out. And everybody's hurt by it. My sisters, like my aunt, I just lost 3 weeks. My aunt just lost 3 weeks ago. She was very hurt by it. She's going to come to see me here in prison. It was a couple months ago. She got cancer, couldn't make it up to see me, and now she's passed away. My sister and family, my wife, they're all affected by that. Everybody's hurt by it. Everybody, the victim, my family, me, everybody's hurt by it. It's like a snowball effect, like an avalanche, you know what I mean? It affects everybody.
I have my mom and my dad. I have good parents. And my dad, the first time I ever seen my dad cry was when he seen me in the county jail. And he knew he couldn't get me out. I didn't even have a bond. And I think that broke me. That was it. That was enough.
When they come and visit me now, I hate for them to come down here because they always cry and they do all this. And, that kills me for them to see me like this.
And it takes a while before you realize that, like, maybe your mom is in tears and she's embarrassed. Her friends are reading about her kid in the newspaper.
My mom was hurt most of all by it all, and which in turn hurts me to look in her eyes at visiting and so far, and and to see the hurt in tears when she leaves and so forth, and that's the big impact. And I come back to the cell and I dwell on that. That hurts as well.
I didn't get in trouble until I was 34. I'm 43. I have a 14-year-old daughter who has missed the last 5, 6 years of her life. I have a 19-year-old with a 4-month-old baby.
They want me home. And there's a lot of pain right now.
It's an error to think no one was hurt. and the truth is that many were hurt. Thoughts like these lead to painful results, again and again. But every time we become aware of these thoughts, we take a valuable step toward change. In part 3 of this series, we'll look at practical steps for change. For example, focus on your thoughts and find each error. Remember where it leads. Eliminate the error before you act. Then explore other options and take responsible action. There's an easy way to remember. Responsible thinking keeps you free from choices that create painful consequences.
I honestly believe today that change is possible. I've never believed that before. I really haven't. I've always felt at a total loss that I could somehow get through and continue doing what I'm doing, expecting different results somehow. And today I believe that a change is possible, but it's a lot of work. It's a tremendous amount of work.